What's up guys, welcome to new Unreal Engine 5 tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to create a complete adventure game in Unreal Engine 5. This video will cover everything that you will need. You will end up with an advanced character movement using motion matching, interaction with levers, with bridges, with chests, and a quest system. I want to mention that you can download the complete project and more than 200 assets through my Unreal Club. You can check it out through the link in the description. With that said, it's going to be a very easy video to follow, so let's get started. Alright, so to get started with our project, we're going to be using the game animation sample from Epic Games. It is official from Unreal Engine and it includes insane movement with motion matching for our characters, and it's basically the most realistic thing you can get out of the box. So just add this into your Epic Games library. And then in your Epic Games library, just go over here and search it up and you should see it over here. If you don't see it, just restart the Epic Games launcher. Now, very important for this video, I'm going to be using Unreal Engine 5.6.1, but you can use any version that is newer or more recent. Okay, let's go ahead and click Create Project, and then let's name this something as Adventure. Select a path and make sure that you select Unreal Engine 5.6 or the one that you're going to be creating this on. Click on create, and now after a few seconds we should have the project created. If we go up here and search for Adventure Masterclass, you should see it over here. So double click and open this up. Okay, as you can see, the project opened, and if I go ahead and press play, we can now move with our third person character, and it looks literally insane. This is AAA animations because we're using motion matching, which is one of the newest features in Unreal Engine 5. But now what I want to do is go ahead and add an item into our player. So let's go ahead and add a holding animation, and this holding animation will work for any type of item that we want, but in this case let's add a torch, kind of giving that Uncharted vibe. Let's go ahead and do this. Okay, so what I did was in the description give you a free animation that you can download. So just go ahead and sign up and you should be able to download this free animation. So once you have extracted the zip file, just drag it into our content browser. Okay, it's literally an FBX. So just drag it and you will see this window over here. Basically, you scroll down until you see the skeleton. Okay, now on the skeleton, just click on this drop down and search for mannequin, and you should see this UFN mannequin. Okay, this is the mannequin that we're using with this motion matching template. So just select this and then keep everything default. Okay, import on animations and so on. Click on import, and now as you can see, if we double click this over here and I move this to here, we have this insane holding animation that we can start to use in our player. Very easy, right? But of course, this asset right now is just in the content browser, and one of the key things that we always have to do when creating an Unreal Engine project is organize our assets. So let's go ahead and double click on characters, and let's right click here, create a new folder, and call this something as custom. And this is where we're gonna be saving all of our stuff. Okay, so expand this over here, we have custom, go back to content, and then just drag this into our new custom folder and click on move. And now, yes, we have it inside of here. So it's nice and organized. Perfect. So now let's go ahead and add this into our character. So click on content, blueprints, and then open up ABP sandbox character. And this is the animation blueprint of our character. This is where all the animations are calculated. So just click here in the NM graph. If you don't see it, just double click here. And as you can see, we have this graph with all of this kind of nodes that create our animation. Now this is more complex than regular third-person templates, and this is because we're using the motion matching feature. But it's also simpler because we can simply add things on top as overlays, and it's exactly what we're going to be doing. So zoom in until the end, which is where we have the output post, and just move it to the right. Okay, so make some space. And then what we want to do is just drag from here, which is our last pin, and do a layered, if I know how to type, layered blend per bone. Okay, now this bone essentially splits the body in two. depending on where we want the body to be split in. And what we're gonna be doing is to place the holding animation on the upper body, but then all of the other stuff on the lower body. Okay, so very, very simple. So now on the asset browser, which if you don't see, you can just go to window and find it. Let's go ahead and search for our holding item animation that we imported and drag it in. Now make sure to select it and scroll down over here and click on loop animation, so this animation will loop. This is very important. And now just connect this into the second pin in our layered blend per bone node. Okay, just drag this here. Okay, now if you compile, you'll see that nothing happens, and this is because we haven't set up this node over here to, you know, split the body in two or anything like that. So if we click on this skeleton icon here, you can see our skeleton, and we have here all of the bones in our hierarchy. So if we were to split the body in two, we would go to like this spine 03, just copy the name, go back to our animation blueprint, and on the layer setup in our layered blend per bone node, just expand this drop down, add a new item over here, and paste this in. Now once we do this, it works. We have a holding torch or holding item, and we can go ahead and move around, but it looks a bit weird. And this is because all of the movement in the upper body for our locomotion is being overridden and absolutely cancelled with our holding animation, and our holding animation doesn't have movement, so it looks very broken. So let's fix this right now. First things first, we don't need to go ahead and split the body in half. We can only take our arm. So to do this, we can find here our clavicle L or R, which is better because it's in the right arm, and just copy this, paste this over here, and then we can add a blend depth, and this is basically to have a bit of a transition. So let's put like 2, okay? So it's like doing a bit of a transition, so it's not like super cut and it looks weird. And then last but not least, let's enable mesh space rotation blend, because it will correctly orient the body forward. And now if we move around, it looks super realistic and super nice. It's like we are actually holding our, you know, torch or whatever it is. So now we are ready to go ahead and actually import our torch 3D model and add this into our character. So this is the 3D model that I'm going to be using for our torch. It is free from Sketchfab. But don't worry, because I'm going to make your lives easier and leave it included in my downloads in the description. So just make sure that you download the bundle that is free in the description, and you get also this. Okay, so right over here on the content browser, just right click and create a new folder, call this something as models. And then right over here, simply go ahead and drag your torch GLB asset. Remember to always extract the folder that I leave in the description and drag it into the content browser, okay? And then this will pop up, leave everything by default, just click on import. And then after a few seconds, we have a new folder with the materials, the textures, and the actual torch static mesh. So it might take a while to compile the shaders, but just drag it and here it is. So we're ready to go ahead and add this asset into our player. So go ahead and just double click on the blueprints folder to open this up. And then we have here the sandbox character. So just right click on the sandbox character, which is our player character right now, and create a child, because we're going to be modifying some things, and to not break stuff, I just create a child, okay? Now this will be something as sandbox character underscore adventure, or actually, you know, we can just make it easier and just call this BP underscore adventure character. Okay, perfect. Open this up. So now over here, we can see that we have all of the things in our parent, but it's a bit cleaner, okay? So you can see. So just go inside the mesh and add a new static mesh, and this will be our torch, okay? So now we can select this static mesh, and in the details panel, we can search for our torch 3D model that we imported, and there we go. It's a bit big, but don't worry, because what we need to do now is create a socket so we can attach this torch into our hand. So I'll compile save, select the mesh, and I will click over here, and now we have it enabled. So just click on the skeleton icon over here, and now we are in the skeleton of this. So in the hand R, just right click and add a new socket, and and then rename this socket to be something as the item socket or torch if you want, but I'm gonna make it universal. So then just right click on this item socket and click on add preview asset and then search for our torch. And this will make our placement way easier because we can visualize, you know, where our torch goes, because the socket can work for any model. It's just a universal location in our skeleton, you know. So if we go ahead and add our torch, we can put it more precisely where we want. But on top of that, to make it even more accurate, we can go up into preview animation and search our holding item animation. And now we can even see how it would look with our, you know, animation. So make sure to always select the socket, not the preview, okay? And now let's start to play around with the scale. So let's have this scale by maybe like 0.5, and then we can start to approach this. We just need to, okay. Yes, this keyboard is going crazy. There we go. And we can start to move this a bit more to the left. Yeah, so I mean, I'm new setup, guys. This is why what is going on? It's hard to grab. I'm not at home anymore. I'm actually in Silicon Valley in San Francisco. I moved, so that's a big thing for content now. But anyways, I'm getting used to the setup here that I created. Okay. So kind of it works, maybe still a bit big, but obviously it doesn't have to be exact. You can put the amount of time and effort that you want into this, but if you want to copy my values, here they are. Okay, so anyway, going back into our adventure character blueprint, leave some things to load. For some reason, these animations are auto saving. But once this is completed, we can go back into our torch. And then we can simply go to the paint socket, click this icon over here, and search for our new one, which is item socket. And there we go. It has automatically placed in the correct position that we had over here. So now the only thing we have to do is scroll down and make sure in the collision presets, you set this to no collision, because otherwise the torch will start to bang into our own character and mess things up, and we don't want that. Okay, this is only visual stuff. Okay, so now when we press play, nothing happens, and you will see in a second. You're like, what? But we just added this in the character blueprint. Well, remember that we created a child. We haven't set our game mode to spawn the child instead of the original one. So on the world settings, which once again, if you don't see world settings or any other window, just go up into window and find it. But then on the selected game mode, just expand this drop down and you see the default pawn class. That's our player, okay? So just get the adventure character and drag it into here to replace it. And then you save everything, press play, and here we are. We now have our torch, which is pretty cool. Now on top of this, we should have some fire effects. Now that I'm aware of, I don't know if there's any fire. Yeah, there's not really any fire stuff that we can use. But there's actually one quick thing that we can import to get some fire going, at least to make our torch a bit more, you know, immersive. So just go into here, add, and then click on feature or content pack. Then go to content, and then click on start content and add to project. And this will add some default materials and particles that we can use. So then close this, and we should have this here on started content. And then you should have here some fire particles. Here it is, okay? So a quick thing that we can do is just drag this into our blueprint tab. It will open this up, and then drag this into our torch. And now it is the child of our torch. And now what we can do is simply move this up. So I think it's the Z, just move it up into the point of our torch, and there we go. We now have fire, which is quite cool. Now it looks a bit weird if we move around because, you know, of some things. This might not be the best particle right now, but you know, it's also temporarily, which is cool. Perfect. So now we have added a custom additive animation and a torch, which is a new item. let's go. And by the way guys, if you wanna learn Unreal super fast and code games so easily it feels like autopilot, join my Unreal Club. You will get access to more than 200 assets from my tutorials. The same ones I used to make viral games played by streamers like iShowSpeed and XQC. What type of assets? Well, preg files from my tutorials on many mechanics and systems that you can use migrate into your own games. This tutorial that you're watching right now is also included. And there's many more things included when you get inside. The link is in the description. Join the Unreal Club now. Okay, so we have successfully added a really cool item that we can hold. But now let's get started with our interaction system. So let's go ahead and open up our content browser and double click in our blueprints folder, which is right here. Now let's right click and create a new folder. Let's go like custom. Open this up and let's right click and create a new blueprint class. Now this blueprint class will be an actor component. So actor components are really cool because they're basically external blueprints that we can use attach and add into other blueprint classes. This means that we can build custom code and reuse it for many characters, which is really cool. So select this BPC for blueprint component underscore, and then let's do interact. And this is where our interaction logic will go. So first things first, we have to use our interact key, and it's pretty cool because there's already one created with this motion matching template that we're using. Just right click, do IA underscore, and then type interact, and you should see this over here, which is with an arrow, okay? So this triggers when we press the E key, okay? If you wanna also check it out, it's compile save, go to the content and then search for EA underscore interact. Click here, Command or Control B, and we can go to the folder and then IMC sandbox. So this is the list with all of the keys in our game. And if we find interact, which is here, we have it as E and as the gamepad face button top. Perfect, right? Good. So let's now close this and we're gonna go back to our BPC interact. And when we start pressing our key, we wanna start to do some cool stuff, which is to do a line trace. Now a line trace is essentially an invisible line that goes from one point to another, and we will use this to detect the items that we have in front. Well, not items, but in general things that we can interact with. So do a sphere trace by channel, and yes, instead of line, let's do a sphere because we'll have a bigger range to detect objects and it's gonna be easier. So you select this one by channel. Let's do some space over here. So then what we want to do is just right click and get the owner of this component, because what we want to do is go ahead and get the starting location of where this owner is. And then for the endpoint, we simply just want to do a get rotation, and we just want to go ahead and get the forward vector, so we get the direction going forwards. Let's make some more space, and then from here just times this by a value. So times, oh my god, so I switched from Windows to Mac. This change. Perfect. The keys are all different. Now right click on the second ping and go to float, and now over here just go ahead and type something as, you know, maybe 150. Okay, this is like the distance that you will be able to detect objects. Now you just get this and add this with the second, sorry, we want to add, so we have to, there we go, add with the second pin, and this will give us the direction for the endpoint. For the radius, but like on 25, and then the draw to for duration. So we can preview this. Now before we can press play and test this up, we gotta add this blueprint component into our character. So double click into blueprints and open up the adventure character, which is always the one that we're using, okay? Make sure to not get it mixed with the sandbox character, okay? Always open up the adventure character except for something that we might need later on. Okay, so now just in the components, add the interact VPC. Press enter, compile, save, and that's it. Press play, and when we press E, you can see that there's an invisible sphere coming in front of us, so we can detect things. But there's one little detail, is that we cannot detect things if we look up or down. It's always like forward. Let's go ahead and fix this real quick. Go into the interact, and right below this flow of code, we can just right click and do get camera manager. And then from here, what we can do is just get the rotation, which is here. Perfect. If I know how to, there we go. And then we can just drag this into here and delete these two nodes and pop this up. Compile, press play, press E, and as you can see, it also looks up because now we're getting the camera rotation instead of our body's rotation. Now you can see that also the arm kind of bugs when we look around. Don't worry, we will fix this a bit later. Okay, perfect. So now with that said, we want to make the radius a bit bigger because it's a bit too small. So on the radius, put like maybe 150. And if we do this and press play, okay, that's too big now. That's definitely too big. Let's do like 50 maybe. Okay. Yeah, better. So now it's easy to detect objects that are in front of us. When it goes green, we detected a collision, which is quite cool. All right, but we're not finished. We have to do a couple more things. So let's get back into here. So we want to control a couple of things. First of all, that you cannot spam attack this interact. Maybe for later on we control it, but for now, just go ahead and add a branch, which is basically an if over here, and then just create a new variable and be like can interact, and just drag this, get, and plug it here. Okay, now compile and make sure to select this variable, and by default put it as true. So if we can interact, we will interact. Perfect. Now we also receive parameters with our sphere trace, but we are not doing anything with it. We are still not actually interacting. We're detecting that object, but not doing anything. So I'll get this over here and do a branch. I'm gonna detect if we have actually detected something. Then the out hit contains everything, so you just call this node. That will break our data. Now we have everything, the location, the impact point, the hit actor, the hit component. What we wanna do is get the hit actor and call the interact event. But to create the interact event, we need one thing, which is called an interface. So before we do anything, go back to the content browser, go into custom, right click, go into the blueprint section and click on blueprint interface. Call this something as BPI underscore interact, and open this up. And now let's call this something as interact. Okay, it will be universal for all of our stuff. So now with this interface created, we can call events from any point. So we go back to interact, we can get our actor and do interact, and just pop this up over here. It's gonna be this one. Easy, right? Now we don't have anything yet to interact with, but let's do one thing real quick just to test. Let's go back to the content browser, right click on our folder, create a blueprint class, and you select actor, because an actor is something on our level. Call this something as BP underscore test, because it's actually just a test to show you guys. And just add a sphere, for example, so we have something, and make sure that the sphere has collision, and it does. Okay, now one thing that I want to point out is the channel traces. Okay, so we go to the interact, you can see that the sphere trace is running on the visibility channel. This means that this line trace can only detect and interact with objects that have the visibility channel on their collision set to block. Perfect, it has it, so we're good to go. Now we need one thing. We need to go to the class settings over here and find the interfaces and add the interface that I talked about, which was interact. Now with this, we can just double click and boom, we can do something. We can, for example, destroy this actor, this sphere, when we interact with it. So when we press play, oh, of course I have to drag the sphere to the level. There we go. So now if I go here and press E, it gets destroyed because that's what we are doing. The interact will simply go interact, and interact for our sphere will do destroy. Simple as simple, right? Super, super easy. So there we go. We have this gone ahead and created. Perfect. So now that we have an interaction system working, it is finally time to create one of the interaction objects, which is going to be a chest that we can interact with and open up. So first of all, let's go ahead and open up our models folder that we created. And right over here, let's import a chest model. So once again, I will be leaving this chest model in the description, included in the free download package. So let's go ahead and get the zip folder extracted and drag the GLB file into the content browser. Just go ahead and click import, leaving everything by default. And there we go. We have a new folder with the materials, textures, and also skeleton meshes. So you save, and you can see that we even have a nice, cool animation that opens and closes. Yeah, so everything is literally perfect. So now let's go ahead and put this chest model in an actor. So over here, let's go back into content, blueprints, custom, and let's do exactly the same thing that we did with the BP test. So just right click, create a new blueprint class, and it's gonna be an actor. And just to go over this, if you don't remember, an actor is essentially an object that is placed in the world and it has a location. Okay, as simple as that. So let's put this BP underscore chest, open this up, and the first thing that we want to do is add a skeleton mesh, and this is going to be our chest. Now you might be wondering, why are we adding a skeleton mesh instead of a static mesh? And that is because our skeleton mesh will enable us to play an animation, and also the chest is simply a skeleton mesh, not a static mesh. So let's choose this, put in here the chest, and then we can go into the details panel and just put in our chest model that we imported. Here it is, and we can just compile, save, and there we go. Now let's just also check out a bit of the size. So we can delete this test blueprint that we did both from the level and from the content browser. Just basically delete this, and there we go. And I just get the chest, drag it up, we can maybe rotate it a bit, and we press play. We can see how it looks, and I think it's perfect size, honestly. It's literally perfect. You could make it even a bit bigger maybe. So we can go here, put the lock on the scale 1.2 or 1.15 maybe. Yeah, just play around with that to make it a bit bigger. Anyway, so now let's go ahead and make sure that we can interact with our chest. So as you remember, it is very easy. We just need to go into here, go to class settings, and add an interface. And the interface is the one that we created, which is BPI interact. Okay, this is the interface that we added earlier in order to be able to interact with our interaction system. So now we can just go into interfaces and double click to add the event of interact, and we can put whatever you want here to happen when we interact with the chest. In this case, it's gonna be very, very simple because we only want to go ahead and open up the chest. So what we have to do is get our chest skeleton mesh and do a play animation node. Literally play animation, that is that. And we just need to go ahead and find the chest open, which is this one here, and that's it. It will literally go ahead and work. We don't have to do anything else. And also I want to mention that we don't need to add an blueprint or anything like that, because we're using this play animation node and we don't need anything. If we were using this other one, which is play montage, then in that case we would need to play but add an animation blueprint into our chest model, okay? But the play animation is just like faster for our chest. Okay, so this would pretty much work. If I go here and nothing happens. Why? Because of one very important thing. If we go here and we go to the chest, we can scroll down until we find the collision. As you can see, it doesn't have a collision. Obviously, this is important. We need to be able to detect the chest through a collision. So over here, go ahead and just put this to custom, and then put everything to ignore except visibility, and then wall static, wall dynamic, and pawn. Okay, so visibility is the most important one right now because we are doing our sphere trace through the visibility. Okay, and then the other ones are just to collide with the player, like the pawn and things like that. Now, also in collision enabled, in this drop down, go ahead and put in something as query only, and that's it. So if we now go ahead and press E, we can actually open up the chest, and it opens and closes. It is pretty cool. Now, there's one thing that will happen right now, and it's that if I go here and press E and then press E again, it kind of like, you know, I can basically open up the chest like 20 times. So let's make sure that we only open this chest like, you know, 1 or 2 times, whatever that is. So what we can do is simply add a do once node, and this do once node will only let this code at the end run 1 time unless we go and reset this. Okay, this is exactly the same as creating a new branch and a new boolean variable and just, you know, having it, okay, how we have the chest open to yes or no, and all that stuff. Perfect. So there we go, we have a really cool chest. But now let's enhance this chest with some visual effects and your sounds. Okay, so in order to add the visual effects, just remember that we went and imported the started content package where we have different particles that we can use. In this case, let's use the explosion, but we're gonna be modifying this because we want to have it a bit smaller and that stuff. So open up the chest again, and right after we go ahead and play the animation, you drag from here and do spawn emitter at location. Okay, so this will enable us to select the explosion that we imported and spawn it in a location. Okay, now if you use a different type of particle like Niagara, which is a new system, you will need to do spawn system at location instead of emitter. Okay, this is if you use Niagara, which is the new system, but the started content only has the old system, so we have to use emitter. Okay, perfect. So now with that said, for the location, it will literally just be the get actor location because it's where the chest is at. And rotation, we don't care. Scale, we want to make it a bit smaller maybe, so let's put it at 0.8 for all the axes. And then pulling, just put this on auto release, so it will reuse the same particle and it will be a bit more performant. Okay, perfect. So now if I go here and open this up, we have a little chest, but it looks a bit, you know, weird because we also want to go ahead and add an offset upwards because the particle was a bit too close to the ground. Just get this, do an add. Okay, move this bit here, connect this new pin, and then on Z, which is upwards, right, up and down, we want to put like maybe like 25 or something like this. Obviously, we will just need to test this. So let me put this window here. Okay, there we go. It's a bit better. So now with that, we just need to go ahead and play a little sound. So over here, just do play sound. Guess what? At location. Now this is important if you want to make the sound appear in 3D, which is essential when doing immersive sound. So we have, of course, a couple of, you know, sounds that we can use. Now if you don't see a lot of these, just make sure they go into here, the little settings icon, and you enable engine content and plugin content. Okay, anyway, With that said, let's find one which is dockable, and then we have a couple of them, like open, drop, close, and in this case open is the one that I want to choose. So once again, we can get the get actor location for the location of this pop-up, and we need a very important thing to make it actually 3D. Right now it is not 3D because we don't have an attenuation setting. The attenuation is how we can make it in 3D, because it's literally like a radius on where the sound will be higher and lower. So for this, let's simply go to the content browser, double click and open up our audio folder, and right here just right click and go into the audio category and then add a sound attenuation. Name this something as SA underscore, and then we can put like just 3D, and we can use this universally for everything. Now you could also go ahead and create a sound attenuation for only the chest, then only the player, then only the attack, things like that for many games and all that stuff. But I usually like to create one universal sound attenuation that I can use for most, like 80% of the assets, and it's just a bit better, okay? But up to you. Now in the attenuation function over here, put this in natural sound, so you will hear it more in one headphone than another one. And then for the inner radius, put this like 200 and this like 3500. Perfect. So now we have set up the 3D attenuation, so we can go here and add it. Perfect. And now this will actually play in 3D. So let's go here and open this up. There we go. It works. Now obviously it's a very simple sound and it's not really like a wood sound. I don't honestly think there's wood. Yeah, so if you have any other sounds that you want to import, go ahead, but I'm just gonna be using these default ones from Unreal Engine. Now also you might notice that we are still showing up the interact trace, and it's kind of ugly at this point. We don't need it anymore. So to remove it is very easy. As you might remember, we just need to go to our blueprints folder, custom, and open up our BPC interact. This is the actor component that does the trace when we press the E key, as you might remember, and this component is then added into our player character. Anyway, so if we go to the sphere trace by channel, you can see a draw debug type. The draw debug type is what draws that invisible line. Just click here and do none, and now we will not see it, but obviously the trace is still being executed, as you can see. Perfect. It's essentially working. Cool, so now we have successfully went ahead and created a real cool chest that we can go ahead and interact with. But this chest is only the start of our interactables. Now what we want to do, and it's going to be insane for an adventure game like Uncharted, is to create a lever that we can interact with, and this lever will be universal for anything. We can plug it into anything that we want to interact with. In this case, for this example over here, we're going to be creating a lever that we can interact with, and this lever will open up a bridge. It will kind of elevate it so then we can cross, okay? But like I said, we're going to make a universal system with our interaction system, so you can use this lever to activate anything that you want in the future, which is really cool. Alright, so first things first, let's go inside of our blueprints folder, custom, and right over here, let's right click and create a new blueprint class. It's going to be an actor, as you might remember, because we can place it in the world and that's it. We don't need a character, a play controller, anything like that. It's just actor. BP underscore lever. Open this up. And there we go. Now before adding in the actual lever 3D model and animation, let's quickly just go to class settings, and in the interfaces just add the one that we created, which is BPI interact, as you might remember. And then just double click on interact, and then here it is. We will be able to put everything here. We can put temporarily so we don't forget a print like lever activation on or something like that. Okay, perfect. So now it is actually time to go ahead and import a lever 3D model so we can actually have some cool things going on. Okay, so let's go ahead and import our lever animation into 3D model. Once again, I will go ahead and include this in my free package that you can download in the description. So you drag the lever into the content browser and it will open this up. But over here, search for the scale, and you can see that we have a offset uniform scale. So just go ahead and put this to like 100 and now import. And now, as you can see, we have this lever. And the reason that we put it to 100 is because it was too small at first. Now, honestly, maybe 100 is a bit too big, but it's okay. We can just resize it and it will be good to go. Perfect. So now we can go back into our lever 3D model and just add a skeleton mesh. Remember, we're adding a skeleton mesh because we have an animation to play. So now we can just type lever, and then over here select lever, and then we can maybe make it a bit smaller, maybe 0.8, and then put a bit more centered in the ground. Perfect. And then what we want to do is just go back to event graph, and where we have the event interact is just delete this because it was temporary. Drag this and do a play animation exactly the same as we did with our chest. But now what we want to do is go ahead and do the lever anim, which is right here. And we can actually test this, but remember, we want to go ahead and make sure that we have the collision. So scroll down, collision presets, custom, all to ignore except visibility, and then wall static, dynamic, and pawn. So we can also collide with the player, but it will detect the trace. And then on collision enabled, just put this in query only. And now we press play. Obviously we don't have it in our level, so make sure that you deleted the 3D model and you go and drag the actual lever blueprint. A common mistake that a lot of people do when starting Unreal and they forget stuff is that you go to the models and you drag the model itself but not the blueprint. This blueprint contains the code. This is just 3D model. Remember that when doing Unreal. Okay, so now we can go here, interact, and it works. Perfect. It's so cool. Okay, so now let's go ahead and continue with our logic. So first things first, we only want to interact with this thing one time. So just go ahead and do this do once. Now obviously if you want to interact with the lever multiple times, you would just delete this over here, right? Then what we want to do is go ahead and play like a little sound. This can be the same as we did the other time. So play sound at location. In this case, what sound we can put, honestly, I don't know, but the talkable sounds, I like them. So we could put like pickup, for example. Use a random one. Then for the location, it will be get actor location. And then we can expand this, remember, and put our 3D attenuation. So it will actually play in 3D. Okay, so I mean, this works. We can go here and play a little sound. And we can only interact with it one time. But now comes the very important thing, which is to go ahead and interact with other items. So in the future, we'll have like a little bridge that will elevate up so that we can cross, you know? So how can we communicate with this? Or even the chest, we could make that when we press the lever, the chest will open. It's universal, if that makes sense. So to do this, just go over here and in the variables, just create a new variable. And this will be something as the actor to activate. This actor to activate will not be a boolean, and instead it will be an actor. So search for actor is the first one over here, object reference, okay? And then what we want to do is click this eye icon over here, so it will appear on the details panel. So when I click here, this lever, in the details panel, we have here actor to activate, and we can select any actor from our level. We can also click this pipette over here and select the chest, for example. And now the actor that this lever will activate is the chest. So then what we can do is just get the actor to activate, drag it over here, and remember our interface. We can just do interact message, and that's it. and this will literally work. It will activate whatever actor is over there. And to show you that, I can go here, press the lever, and the chest will activate. And if you don't trust me, we can even put this lever more far away, and we can do this, and you will see we activate both because we are obviously going ahead and having our chest as the actor to activate. And like I said, this doesn't only work for the chest, it can work for any other actor that has the interface to interact. So that will be in the future our bridge. Now what I want to do also is add a little delay, so it feels more like the lever takes a bit of time to activate. So let me put like 1.15, you know. So it's more like, okay, I press the lever and it activates. It's like actually more real, you know. Perfect. So we also have now the lever gone ahead and working. Perfect. So now it is finally time to actually create that bridge that we can use in our adventure game to go ahead and pass through a temple or whatever that we want, right? In like an Uncharted or Tomb Raider way. So once again, let's go into the blueprints folder, go to custom, right click and create a new blueprint class. This will be an actor because this bridge will be placed in the world. BP underscore, and then let's put like bridge and open this up. Now, obviously you can go everything what you want, but I recommend these names, you know. So now here, let's add a new component. Now, obviously this bridge would have an actual 3D model, but we would, you know, go ahead and add this 3D model once we have the environment asset pack imported. We don't have that yet, so we're gonna simply use a cube. And this will be like temporary, obviously. So then we're gonna go here into the scale and just unlock it. And then let's put this first axis at 5, the second one as 3, and this final one as 0.165. And now we just created a simple kind of bridge pad that we will use temporarily. Okay, perfect, just compile and save. So now what we can do is create a mini zone that we can use for our gameplay. So what I want to do is get this edge over here, hold Alt and move this over here so I can duplicate it. And let's create like a little path that we can use. So I'm gonna put this here, and then I'm gonna add the bridge into the level. Okay, this will be the bridge that we interact with. Okay, and I'm just creating a little test level that we can use this for, you know. So let's just put this like here. Let's expand the bridge, the thing a bit. There we go. Perfect. And then we also want to maybe get the lever and put it over here, so we actually go ahead and interact with it. Let me just put this here. And then another thing that we also want to do is obviously create the other end so we can actually cross it. So once again, you select this, hold Alt and duplicate this, and then we can maybe put the chest on this other side, you know, as maybe like the actual exit. Perfect. Now this is just temporarily, this is not an actual level. This is just a test, okay? So there we go, this is going ahead and actually working. First of all, let's go ahead and click this lever in our level, click the pipette and make sure that we select the bridge as our new actor to interact. But obviously nothing happens when we press the lever now, because first of all, the bridge doesn't have the interact interface yet, and then obviously it doesn't have any code to do anything when we interact. So now what we want to do is go to the bridge and close the lever and start to add the actual mechanics. So first things first, we want to add a component, and this component is very handy because it allows us to move the actor, and this is the interp to movement component. Okay, so now with this over here, what we want to do is go to the control points and add a new control point, and this control point will be just by default 0, 0, 0 and relative. Okay, so this is the starting point where the bridge will start, just where it is right now. Okay, now then what we want to do is make sure that we have the behavior type on onShoot, and yeah, everything is by default, honestly. Oh, okay, we also want to go ahead and disable auto activate, very important. Okay, perfect. And also, yeah, another thing is that we want to disable sweep, because otherwise if there's something in between, it will stop, and we don't want that. We want to just do it. Perfect. So now what we want to do is just go to the class settings and add, as you might remember, our BPI interact. And double click on interfaces, and here we go. And then what we want to do is just get the interrupt to movement, drag this and do an activate, and then we will actually activate the bridge over here. And then we also want to add one thing, and it's the second control point, because right now in our component we only have one position, but we need the second one, so it will go to this second position. Okay, but this second position must be done by code, so we can do it in a very cool way. So first things first, just drag this over here and do a add control point position. Just plug this over here, and then for the pause, just right click and promote this into a variable and put this something as the destination location. This is where the bridge will go to, right? When we activate it, in this case, how high it will be. Now make sure that you have also position is relative. So now for this variable, just click this eye icon over here, so it will be public exposed in the details panel, and then also click on show 3D widget. And this is a new thing that you guys might not know, but now with the show 3D widget, what we can do is put the initial location of the whole bridge to be like down here, but then click on this 3D icon that we have and put this destination on here. And yes, this is how we can go ahead and create a destination point in 3D, and this will go upwards, because now when we interact, we activate this component and we add the second control point. So we can actually test this, but we also want to go ahead and move the player spawn to be on top. There we go. So we actually spawn here. Perfect. Press play, and then we press the lever and it goes up. As simple as that, right? It's super easy. So another thing that we might want to do is change like the duration. So this is done here. So what we can do is simply set duration, and we can create another variable for this and just leave it as duration. And then we can click this eye icon, so when we go and select the bridge here, we see it. Now make sure that the duration by default is like 1, so it has a default value, but then if we go here, we can customize it to like 2, and this means that now will be slower. Well, actually we have to do this before anything, so Ctrl X and move this before deactivate, because otherwise it will basically not do anything. Okay, perfect. So there we go. Now it works, and we can actually activate the lever and the bridge will go up, which is really cool. Now it's just a cube. This in the future will be like an actual bridge when we import the asset pack, which is quite important. So there we go, we have the bridge created. Perfect. So now with all that done, it is finally time to create the quest system. So let's go here, close our bridge, go to the blueprints folder, custom, and let's get started. Okay, so this quest system is going to be very simple but very effective, and you can use this not only obviously for this adventure game, but for anything that you want with Unreal. So just right click over here and create a new blueprint class, and this is gonna be another actor component. I love actor components because we just keep everything more organized. In this case, we had an actor component for interact, which is BPC interact. Now I'm gonna have a BPC quest, which will essentially handle all of the quest data for the player. So actor component, bpc underscore quest. Open this up. So right over here, I'm gonna delete this to custom events and right click and create a new custom event. And this will be start quest. Okay. So when we call this start quest from any point in our game, we will just activate the quest. So what we want to do now is go ahead and set up a structure of a quest. What did that mean? What is a structure of a quest? Well, that is essentially a data file that we will have, which will contain all the information for our quest. So to do this, just go here in our custom folder, just right click and then go to blueprint, the blueprint section, okay, and create a structure. This will be s underscore quest. Now this structure will contain all of the information of our current quest that we would like to have, or not only current for anything. So first we want the quest of the name. So the name of the quest. So let me put a quest name, and the type will obviously be a name. Then I want to add another variable, and this will be the actual like description of the quest. Let me also add quest on the start, and we're gonna leave this as name. Okay, perfect. Because name is just text. It's the same as if I was to put string. Okay. Anyway, so now we have this structure created, which will include everything of our quest. So this means that right over here, what we can do is add an input. So whenever we start a quest, we can send over an actual quest, which it will be of type s underscore quest, which is the structure that we created. So then just right click and create this as a variable, and this will be the current quest. Okay. So whenever we start a quest, we will receive the actual quest that we want to start, and we will save it in a variable. As simple as that, okay? Then we want to go ahead and make sure and check if you already have, started a quest. Is this active? So just create a variable over here, and this will be like active quest, and it will be a boolean, so it will be true or false. Drag this and do a not boolean, so it will be the opposite. Okay, it will be like, if it's not active already, we can start it. But if it's active, we don't want to do anything, obviously, right? So also go ahead and compile and make sure that by default it is disabled, okay? Do not enable this. Perfect. Right after, what we want to do is like a print, saying like, hey, quest active, right? And we will actually go ahead and start the quest. But obviously we don't want to just see a print on the string. We want to see a widget appear in our UI, right? And we will have here like current quest and the description. So to do this, let's create a new widget. So go to content, scroll down, and you will see there's already a widgets folder. Right click, create a new folder. This will be custom once again. And right over here, just right click and scroll down to user interface and create a widget blueprint. Click on user widget and name this WB underscore, and we can put something as quest, and yeah, that's it. Okay, perfect. So in here, I'm gonna make it very simple for now. Just add a canvas panel, and that's it. Okay, I'm gonna customize the UI a bit later. Let's just leave it already. And by the way, the canvas panel is just basically the screen. So now we will be able to add things as if this was the screen. Perfect. Going back into our BPC quest, let's actually, before doing the print, just do a little create widget. And this new widget will be the quest one that we just created. And obviously, we also want to get this and do an add to viewport. So we will add this widget into the player screen, because otherwise we're creating it, but it's not on the screen, so it isn't really doing anything. Okay, perfect. And that's pretty much it. But now obviously it is time to create the actual UI of this quest over here, right? So it's gonna be very simple, trust me. So go to WB quest, and what we want to do is just drag a text over here. Now this text over here will be like the active quest name, okay, and click on is variable, because if we do it as a variable, we will be able to access it from our BPC quest and then edit it, which is very important. Make sure that the anchor is by default here on the top left. Obviously, if you want to change it up, you could, but I'm gonna leave it there. And then basically just make the block a bit bigger, put maybe the font also to be a bit bigger, maybe like 28, and put this like here maybe, you know, this is pretty much up to you. And we can put a default value of like attic quest. Perfect. Then we can just go ahead and Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and put this here. This new one, which has the same name, can just be the description. And also make sure they have is variable. Now for this one, we're gonna change it to be just regular instead of bold. I'm gonna change the size to be maybe like even smaller, maybe like 18 or something. Make sure they have space for the description. And then on top of this, just as nice user interface rules, I'm gonna make it a bit darker so it has less emphasis as the name. And there we go, we have a simple active quest, and then like, you know, do this because it's basically the description of the quest. Perfect. Again, make sure they have the names and is variable. So now coming back into our BPC quest, what we can simply do is make sure that we update these variables. So let me actually just delete the print string. We don't need this, okay? Let me just go ahead and get the active quest, and let's set this to true before we do anything else, so we don't break this branch over here. And then back here, what we want to do is get our widget and do the changes. But we don't have a reference of our widget, so just break this over here, right click, promote to variable, quest widget, connect this here, boom boom, and then get the quest widget variable, and simply go ahead and access the name. And then here it is, get active quest name is at the bottom. So now what we can do is a simple set text, and it's gonna be this one over here. We don't want to use this pink one, we want to use the function at the bottom, set text. Okay, very important. This is actually the function that changes the text. So where are we gonna get this information and this text? Well, very simple. What we want to do is just get the current quest, that is a variable, and then go ahead and just do right click and split. So now we access the name and the description, and then what we want to do is get the name and drag it in, and it will add already this to text name, and there we go, it will simply work. Now we also want to get this copy this the quest widget, and want to get now the name instead of the description. You can additionally just get it from here and do get, you know, description, but I personally like to do just get description as a new, you know, pin, so it's basically a bit more organized. Then exactly the same, set text, this function at the bottom, and then what we can do is get the description and just plug it here, and that's it. Okay, double click here to make a reroute node. There we go, and it's nice and organized. Perfect. So we actually got this ready. Whenever we call the start quest, we will receive a quest, save it as a variable, and then go ahead and do all this stuff. We actually also wanna do the branch before we update it. So just Ctrl X, Ctrl V, and paste this here, and then reconnect this. Very important. We only wanna do everything if we don't have already an active quest, and perfect. this would go ahead and work. So just to test, I could technically go and add a begin play, okay, and then do the start quest event, and then I could create a new quest by just doing a make s quest, and then I could go here and put in, like, you know, honestly I have no idea what name could we put. Oh, bro, I'm actually I don't know what to put. Start okay, let's put like tutorial, there we go, and then like you know, open the chest. Perfect. Okay, so obviously this is just an example, right? So now with that, when I press play, nothing happens. Why? Because we still haven't added this blueprint actor component into the character, because it's separate, remember. So we want to do and open up the adventure character. Remember to always open up the adventure character, not the parent, unless you want to do everything on the parent, you know. And then you just go to components, add BPC, and then quest. This time is enter, compile, save, and now when we press play, you can see tutorial, open the chest. It is actually going ahead and working perfectly. Now obviously we only want to do this from outside. This is just an example, but to show you guys that it's working, well, we just did it. So now it is time to make the end quest, right, or the complete quest, so we can complete the quest essentially. Okay, perfect. So once again, in our BPC quest, which is where we have the start quest, go under our event and create another custom event, and this will be complete quest. Perfect. So over here we don't need any input over there, because we will simply go ahead and remove the current quest that we have. But obviously let's double check if we have an active quest. So we only do this if we actually have a quest going on. Then what we want to do is instantly just set active quest to disabled, because now we don't have anything. And then we want to get the quest widget and do a remove from parent. This is basically deleting the widget from the screen. Don't tell me why it's called from parent, but yes, it is like that. That's because we can have child widgets and all that stuff. And then finally, what we want to do is just get the quest widget and set it to be false, and that's it. We honestly don't need to do anything else. So if I was to add a delay here of like, you know, 3 seconds, and then I called complete quest, it would simply go ahead and work. We could go here, and after 3 seconds, boom, as you can see, it disappeared. Now on top of that, what we can do to make things a bit cooler is obviously add here a little sound, you know, and can be like a 2D sound this time, because it's like a UI sound. And I don't know, let's see what we could put. There's so many things that we could possibly select, right? Okay, we could do this one, possess player. This is a cool one, like, you know, we completed the quest. Look at this. Perfect. But before completely deleting the widget of our quest, let's do a very cool thing, which is a little pop-up in the screen that will say quest completed, like in the Assassin's Creed style. So simply go ahead and just maybe Ctrl-C and Ctrl-V this variable here. Call this the quest completed. Now disable is variable because we don't need this anymore. And then just, oh my god, okay. Try to move it, there we go, put this under. And now we can get the anchor and put it on the top center. And then simply put position X and Y to 0, put the alignment to 0.5 and 0.5, and then also go to the font justification and put this on the center. And now simply get the size and, I don't know, put this to like 50, it's like big, and then get the position Y and increase it, and we can put it like around here maybe. And then also the size, let's increase it using the details panel, so it's still aligned. And there we go. And we can put like quest completed. Yes. Just increase this over here. Okay, perfect. Obviously, you could put anything that you want. You could even change this to be the quest name, you know, things like that. Maybe this is a bit big. Let's put 45. Okay, yes, perfect. So we have this done. 48 maybe. So now we just need like a little animation going on. So window, you search for the animations, click this, and now click on your quest completed and add a new animation. And this will be like quest completed. We're gonna have any spaces, and then you just put notification. Great. Now you just click on this new animation, and we can start to animate it. It will be very simple, okay? The first thing that I want to do is just go to the font, which is where is it? Here, color and opacity, and the starting point for the alpha will be 0. So put a 0 and add a keyframe. Now just go forward, and then like here, and put the alpha to 1 and add a keyframe. So now, as you can see, it will transition. Quest completed. Then over here we can maybe put like another keyframe to 1, and then here we can put this to 0 and put another keyframe. So we'll go from 0 to 1 to 1 to 0. Literally, that's it. You can put zooms in, you can put crazy shakes, but I'm gonna leave it like this to keep it simple, okay? But you get it. Perfect. So now that's it. Make sure that the default value of the quest is 0. So you just click away from the notifications, click on this box, and make sure that this is 0, so it will not appear on the screen. And then also that's it. We are good to go. So basically, just go to the BPC quest, and before doing a remove from parent and all of this stuff, just get the quest widget, and then get the notification animation, which is here, and do a play animation, and plug this here. Just need to make this a bit more organized. Give me a second. Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, okay, that's good. Perfect. Perfect. And then just try to put this here. Perfect. Okay, so now we just, you know, play the animation. And then what we can do is add a delay of whatever the duration of the animation is, and then actually delete it. So let's just check this out. In this case, the animation has a duration of 2 seconds. As you can see, it finishes on 2 seconds. So let me put this on 2 seconds. Now obviously we want to play the sound before, so just Ctrl X this and put it right where the animation is before the delay. And okay, so we're having an error because we also have to plug in the quest widget to the target. Because it doesn't have a target, it will not work. Okay, so wait 3 seconds and quest completed. Oh, okay, another thing that we might want to do is disable these two things when we put quest completed. So on the animation, what we can do is just add our other texts. So quest name, and I'm gonna just get it from 1 to 0. Okay, real quick, it will take less. And then I want to go to 0, click the description and also add it. So description, the starting point is 1, but here it will be 0. Add a second keyframe, and then that's it. As you can see, it literally goes ahead and works. That's it. Now make sure that for both of these, the alpha is 1. Okay, perfect. So now we're good. We just have everything. If I press play, 2 seconds, and quest completed, everything disappears, and boom, we're good to go. Okay, also let's put quest to be disabled at the end when we do anything, just in case we activate a new quest while the animation is happening, because it will break stuff. So just move this with Ctrl X to the end, and that's it. We have also the quest completely done. But now we need one of the most important things, which is obviously the quest trigger to be able to activate a new quest. So first of all, for our quest BPC, just get the whole begin play and delete it, because it was just to test this, okay? And now just close everything, and then go to the blueprints folder, custom, right click over here and create a new blueprint class, and it will be an actor, because this trigger will be placed in the world. Just put this like BP underscore quest trigger and open this up. So now over here, it's gonna be very simple. Just add a new component and search for collision. And obviously it can be any shape that you want. In this case, I'm gonna do box collision because I think it's usually the most appropriate. And then just name this like trigger, and that's it. Then we can put the thickness to be a bit bigger, like 3 maybe, or 2. And it will be like a bit more easy to handle. And then also search for hidden in-game and disable this, just for now, okay? Obviously the trigger will be disabled during the gameplay, but just to test, let's disable it so we can see it on the level. Perfect. Now leave everything by default, including the size and everything, because you will change the size once you're on the level, right? But you scroll down and you can see the on component begin overlap. Click on this icon over here to add the event, so that way when something enters into this trigger, we can execute the quest. So what do we want to check here? Or we want to check for the player. So let's do a very quick and easy thing. Just go to the sandbox character, okay? Don't enter into our child adventure character, enter into the parent sandbox character. I know that I always tell you to go to the adventure, but in this case we want to do it for any player that we do, so go to the parent, which is sandbox. Then go to class defaults and search for tag. And you can see actor tags, okay? Ignore the other tags for the capsule component and all that stuff. Go to actor, advanced tags, add a new tag, and then put this as player. So now the player has a player tag. Now make sure that you spell this exactly the same without any spaces or whatever. Go here, and now on the other actor that has just entered the trigger, we can do hashtag. And then paste this in. Now make sure that you spell this exactly the same, because otherwise it will not work. And now we can just add a branch, and that's it. If this is true, that means that the player was the one that entered through the trigger. And we need this check just in case something else collides. Imagine that in the future you have enemies. If they enter the trigger, it would trigger, but we don't want that, okay? And with that said, we simply wanna go ahead and do a little thing, and is to access the adventure character. So we can do like cast to adventure character, and the casting allows us to go ahead and detect the specific actor that it is and access of the properties in the class. But we only can do it with a certain class. With the interface, which is what we did for our interaction system, it was universal. It didn't matter if it was an adventure character or anything else. Okay, perfect. So now we can just do get BPC quest, which is the component for our quest. And guess what? We can do start quest. And start quest will already check if we have already a active quest or not, so it's perfect. Okay, go back to the quest trigger. Now what quest this will be? Well, we want to right click and create a new quest. And what we want to do very importantly is click this eye icon over here, so it will be exposed. Perfect. With that done, we are literally good to go for now. We might need to add a little sound, but honestly the sound, I think it can be done on the BPC quest. So at the end we can do play sound 2D, and then we can I don't know, find a sound. Honestly, I don't know what we could do. Star simulate is cool. Perfect. So now we can simply find our quest trigger, which is this one over here, and we can maybe like put it right here, and then we can just expand this, So if our player goes through this trigger, we can start the quest. What quest? Well, if we select the trigger, because we expose with the eye icon the quest, we can put it here. So the name will be like, you know, enter the temple, and then like open the chest. Well, more than that, it will be like Gorka's temple. Right, that's the name of the quest. But then the instruction, which is the description, is like open the chest. Perfect. So now if I do this, as you can see, I don't have a quest. I cross the trigger. I have a quest with the sound and everything. Gorka's temple, open the chest. And yeah. But now obviously I go here and open the chest, nothing happens. So this is the next thing to do, to open the chest and complete the quest. So let's go ahead and do this. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up our BBC quest. Sorry, our quest trigger. And we have here the start and everything. So now what we want to do is have a reference of the actor that we want to go ahead and, you know, open up or something. In this case, the chest. So this chest, okay, will be the chest blueprint. And when I go ahead and bind this into an event, okay, now we want to create this new event. So open up the chest, and there's a little trick. You select it on the level and do Ctrl E, it opens up. And then on the event dispatchers, we want to create a new event, and this is like opened. And that way we can just go to the quest trigger, and what we can do is do a bind event to opened. So whenever we go ahead and call this event of open, something will execute here. So let's create a new custom event. This is complete quest, and guess what? I'm gonna simply get the complete quest component and do complete quest, and that's it. But obviously we want to call this event on the chest when we open it. So go to the chest, find here when we open it, go to the end, get the event dispatcher and do call, and that's it. Perfect. So now whenever we go ahead and interact and open up the chest in the quest trigger, we execute this because we are always trying to see when will the event dispatcher be called. And that's it. We are good to go. So this will work, but we also need a reference to the chest, obviously. So on the quest trigger, go here and click on the eye icon. So now it's here, click the pipette, select the chest, and that's it. So we cross it, Gorka's temple, cross the bridge, open it up, quest completed. It is working, guys. As you can see, it is super easy and universal, which is the best part. I mean, how easy was that, right? We already have this created, which is insane. Quest systems. And a quick reminder, you can actually download the complete project through my Unreal Club in the Pro tier, and 200 other assets. So what are you waiting for? Join my Unreal Club now. Okay, so we have completed the main mechanics that I wanted to introduce in this masterclass. So now it is time to start adding the cool stuff, all of the visuals and the character. So for the character, I'm going to be using a character that is actually included in this template over here for the motion matching, and it's Echo, and it's officially from Epic Games, and it's like a Tomb Raider character. You will see it in a second. If we go to blueprints, we targeted characters and open up Echo, we can go to the viewport and you can see it over here, which is super cool. It's a really nice character. So we don't need to import another character from Fab or whatever, but obviously if you want to import your own custom character, you can go ahead and do so. But anyway, now we have to go ahead and select this character as our character, and we could have used this blueprint from the start because it already has Echo as the character, and the parent, as you can see, is also Sandbox character as with our own adventure. But we didn't do it from the start, but we can do it very easily. The only thing that we have to do is literally copy these two things, which is echo body and echo hair. Literally that's it. Then use Ctrl C to copy this over here and go back and open up our adventure character with the viewport, and then simply click on the mesh over here, okay, and press Ctrl V to go ahead and paste. Now if it didn't paste as a child of mesh, again just drag these two things under mesh. Very important, it has to be a child of mesh, okay? And then just make sure that for the hair you click on these things over here so it's in the default position, and the same with the body, just click these arrows over here so it's perfectly on position. And as you can see from the go, it's already animating everything, because if we go here to tag, you can see that we have a custom tag that we copied from the other character, and we also have another generic retarget animation blueprint. And to make it easy for you guys, this animation blueprint just copies the animations from the main mesh, which is the mannequin, into Echo's body. As simple as that. And we do this through a tag so we can know what specific retargeter we can use, okay? Literally as simple as that. It is quite easy. You could go ahead and spend time seeing everything over here, but if we go to the IK retargeter map and open this up, it might lag a bit because it's loading a lot of stuff, but we can see that we have the echo retargeter here, and this is what it's doing. It's literally copying the animations from one into the other in real time. So we do this as we play, and that way we don't have to create a whole new animation blueprint for echo. We can just use the one that we have, and that's it. Perfect. So let's close everything, and if we now go ahead and close echo, leave adventure character and press play, you can see that it's here and everything works. But obviously we have to do one thing, which is to disable the mannequin, right? We only want echo. So select the mesh over here, which is the parent, go to the details, search for visibility and disable visible. But make sure in this drop down for optimization that you have always tick pose and refresh bones, because otherwise if we don't have that, the character for echo will not be animated, because if we disable it, it's like for performance it disables everything. So put this over here. Now also, as you can see, for the hair, it's not exactly put in a how it should be. So this is a skeleton mesh. So let me just double check what we had for echo and the hair. Let's just click this icon over here, so we'll take us here, go to adventure, paste it up, and then just double check the location. It doesn't have any. Okay, I know what's happening. As you can see, the hair is not a child of body. Just drag it in. There we go. Now it's snapped into position. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now we actually press play. We have the echo character, and everything works as it should, with the chest, the lever, with the quests, and also the torch. So everything is gone ahead and working. We have a new character, which is kind of Uncharted / Tomb Raider, that looks amazing, which is really cool. And of course, you can use any other character that you have using the same method. And now it is time to finally add the environment into the game. Now for this video, I'm going to be using Temples of Cambodia, which is amazing. Now unfortunately, this is no longer free. It was free for the month a couple months ago, or even more than a year ago. So if you have it, you can go ahead and add it into your project. If you don't have it, simply find another alternative in Fab or whatever you want. It's kind of a shame that it's no longer for free, but it is really amazing and definitely worth it if you're gonna create like sort of, you know, Assassin's Creed or Uncharted or Tomb Raider. Yeah, this level looks insane. It's the one we'll be using. So just add this into your Epic Games library if you have it for free. If you have to buy it, well, if you want to buy it, go ahead. If not, you can use an alternative. This asset is not sponsored in this video or anything like that. I literally just like this asset a lot for this video. I think it fits the Uncharted vibes, so I'm gonna be using it, okay? So it's your choice. So as we would do with any asset, you search it over here, add to project, and it might not appear depending on the version, okay? This might happen for other assets as well. If it doesn't appear, just click on show all projects and then select this. And you will see that it isn't compatible with the latest version that you might be using for the Adventure Masterclass. In this case, it is 5.6, but don't worry. Just click here and select the most recent version that this asset is supported and click add to project. And this will automatically convert and make sure that we can use Temples of Cambodia in our project, okay? No worries, it would still go ahead and work. So just leave it a couple seconds and it should be already completed. There we go. So now once it has been imported into the project, I can go to the content browser, scroll down, and here it is, Temples of Cambodia. I'm gonna go to demo, maps, and then we have a couple of different maps that we can choose. In this case, I wanna go to interior and open this map up. And once this loads, you will see that it's insane. Now, as you can see by default, this specific map is super bright. This is basically because of the post process. Don't tell me why it is like this, but just find the post process. Again, if you're using this map, if not, it will be up to you. It depends on the map, but I'm gonna go to exposure. I'm gonna put this like to maybe, you know, 1 or something. And now as you can see, it kind of goes ahead and drops the exposure, and it's actually good. I'm gonna put the min and max to be like -5, and that way there's more illumination. And then I'm gonna go to this part over here, and boom, this part is literally insane. As you can see, this is one of my favorite ones. So we can even put this to 2 maybe to have a bit more of brightness. And yeah, I mean, this is the starting point. So now that you are in your map, what you're gonna do is just go to wall settings. And again, if you don't see wall settings, go to window and then find over here. And then on the game mode override, just go ahead and make sure that you have GM sandbox, which is the one for motion matching and for our adventure character. So if we don't have a player start, which I think we don't have, yeah, we don't have a player start, we need to add one, so it will actually spawn. So let's find a spot over here. And in my case, I'm gonna go right here, okay? And yeah, let me just quickly go ahead and put this to unlit so I can see it because it's a bit dark. I'll add a bit more lighting here. But now in the quickly add to the project, just go to all and then find the player start and drag it up. And then I'm gonna just rotate it 180 degrees so it faces forward, and there we go. But obviously maybe in your project, you already have a player start in the level, and you just move it. All right, so now when I press play, this happens, and I can walk. Now the bloom is absolutely crazy, and there's some things that are being kind of broken. Also, the texture stream pool is over the budget, so these are things that might depend on your level. In my case, I just simply have to find the post process and play around with the lens flares. So literally I'm gonna like disable it and then also find the things like bloom. So I'm gonna just go ahead and search for bloom, and then we can find the intensity. As you can see, it's literally 7. That is crazy. I'm gonna just put it by default and disable it, and there we go. Okay, still crazy. I'm gonna play around with the settings a bit more, but ignore the fire right now. You can see that this level looks absolutely amazing. Okay, it's really pretty cool. So yeah, let me go ahead and just play around a bit more with the post process and see if I can get that intensity a bit lowered. Okay, so I'll play a bit with the post process, and on top of that I went to my adventure character and to the torch fire, and I basically changed it from the starter content 1 to one that is included in the Temples of Cambodia, which is torch, and it does look a bit better. If I press play, you will see it. It's kind of cooler, honestly. So yeah, I mean, this is already looking pretty cool. We can maybe increase a bit more exposure in some areas, but yeah, I mean, I'm very happy with how this is looking. You might have noticed that the feet were not really aligned with the floor. This is just because of the collision grounds and all that stuff. This doesn't have a very, accurate collision, let's say. So if you wanted to improve how this collision is, you can just go ahead and open up the actual mesh, and then you can scroll down until you see the collision proximity, and you can put use complex as simple. And now if I play from here, it's a bit more accurate. As you can see, the feet are actually touching the ground. Now the shadow is another thing. The shadow for some reason is not really doing some good work. But yeah, if you want to change the ground, you can basically do that. I could repeat it here. I don't know if it's the same one or if it's another one, but I could go here, use complex as simple, and the feet will align a bit better. Okay. Now I am on a Mac, so I need to reduce a bit the shadows from what I'm used to, but I'm gonna increase a bit the shading, and maybe this creates a better look on the feet. It will lag a bit more, but maybe it does look a bit better. Let me double check this for a second. It's similar, honestly, but yeah, it's still pretty cool. Alright, so now it is time to actually introduce the mechanics that we added in the other level into this level and actually make it like a playable game, So what I'm going to do is go into this area, and I'm gonna create like a sort of pit. And this pit is only gonna be able to be crossed with the lever, which was gonna be here, right? So that's how we're gonna introduce our thing. And then I'm gonna basically add the quest over here, and then you just need to go over here, and then we'll have the chest that we added. Let's go ahead and add all of this. And obviously this will kind of depend on the level that you're using. In this case, I'm using this Temples of Cambodia, but what I'm going to do is change from lit to unlit so I can see this a bit better. And as you can see, we have this whole ground. So I'm gonna just change this to the scale tool, and I'm gonna make it until here basically. So this part is gonna be the pit, as you can see. Well, maybe I'm gonna make it a bit longer, let me just go here and disable the snapping, and that way I can go over here and make this a bit bigger, maybe even bigger. Okay, maybe that's too much. But yeah, it's just okay. This is perfect. So this is gonna be my pit here. So I'm gonna start to get these things here and just delete them, which is kind of the degrees in this area. As you can see, I deleted this whole degrees. What we're going to do instead is just kind of move it more into this area so we can reuse them. Perfect. And the same with this parts over here. I'm gonna there's also some light rays over here. If it's in the middle, I can just go inside and start to delete some stuff. And then I'm gonna leave the spikes because I want to leave them at the bottom of the tip of the of the pit, so it's like funny. Okay, perfect. Get this over here, delete, get this here, and just move it more like here, and go here, and I guess I would just need to put this more here. We also add lines, and then this part here I can delete this, and perfect. There's some more things that I can get here, but anyway. So what I want to do now is get all the spears and simply put them more inside the pit. So I need to make sure that it doesn't hit the walking bridge when it goes up. So maybe like here. Perfect. Now I think there's also like a ground here that I'm gonna delete. There we go. Now there's no ground. And then what I'm going to do is go to content and search for wall, and I should find all the walls here that we're using for the Temple of Cambodia. So there's a couple of them. For example, this one. Drag this here, and now with this I'm gonna simply just put this on the ground and create like a loop. bit, okay? So this part of the tutorial is less step by step, and it is just more like, okay, I'm just building this. If you wanna follow along similarly with your own level, go ahead. If not, it doesn't matter, you know. But let me just fill this in, and for the stretching, I'm gonna just increase it upwards as well and put it down, so there's not a lot of stretching. And obviously I'm doing this fast, you could spend more time. I'm gonna alt duplicate it. But also, if you think about it, this bit, you know, it's kind of hidden. Not a lot of people's gonna see there because there's no light. I'm right now in unlit, so you know, you get me. It doesn't have to be perfect. But let me just put this here. Perfect, kind of like this. I'm gonna get this part here and delete this, and also this one's over here. If you cannot select stuff, always, you know, just get it closer, because it will be that there's like a little collider in front. Oh yeah, and also this part here, I need to maybe take it a bit more like maybe here. Okay. Oh yeah, maybe we need to get the walls, which are these three, and maybe just put them a bit higher. There we go. So there's no gap. And I think that I'm pretty happy with this. Okay, so now we can actually add our own stuff. If I put this to lit, you can see how cool this looks, right? Oh, there's one flying here. Let me delete this. Actually, you know what? We could put this on a spike, but you know, that's okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we're good to go. I just need to add the actual path, you know. So let me go here back to unlit, so it's kind of easier to see everything. And let me go to our blueprints folder, go to custom, and here we have our bridge. So let me just drag it up. Now, as you might know, this bridge cannot just be white. We have to actually improve it a bit. So what I'm going to do is actually delete this one, and I'm going to right click on our bridge in the content browser and create a child. Okay, I'm going to customize this bridge to be like with also breaks, you know. And I'm gonna create a child so it's cleaner, and we have a clean bridge with this just the white thing, but then a child which has this biomes kind of, you know, visuals into it. So we're gonna do bridge underscore temple. I think that makes sense. Perfect. And what I'm going to do is, instead of changing the base mesh, which will change up the size and scale of everything, what I'm going to do instead is open up the content drawer, and I'm gonna search for floor, and I'm gonna get this floor over here and drag it into the scene root, and then this will be automatically a child of the cube. If not, make sure that it's a child. I'm gonna do a trick, and it's just get it out of a child, right? So it's not under cube. I'm gonna reset it so it has a correct scale, and then put it again as a child of cube. And now it has the correct size. So let me get this part into the corner here, and I'm gonna simply just make sure that this fits the scale of this part. So this like this, and this like this. Literally perfect. It might be a bit stretched, but you know, it's okay for me. And then obviously we have to go to cube, go to details, visibility, and disable visibility, and that's it. So still everything will work. So now I can get the temple bridge and actually put it like right here, and then just put it here, and then kind of make it fit this part over here. Now obviously I might still need to go ahead and increase the size, but you know what, I want to leave a gap here and a gap here. I think it looks like more adventurous. You know, so I'm gonna leave this here, and we need to put this on the bottom by default, right? Because that's the starting point. So it's gonna be like maybe like here, and then or even more. Yeah, maybe like here. I don't know what's going on with these glitches, okay? Just ignore that. Anyway, so then click on the destination location widget and move this widget up, and then we want to go ahead and put this kind of aligned with the ground here, and that's it. This is the destination point. Perfect. So now with that said, I just want to get the lever and maybe put this like here. And maybe 90 degrees. Now this is kind of wood and it doesn't really fit the temple vibe, but you know, it's okay, right? You can change the models or whatever you want. And then I just need to go ahead and click on the actor to activate with the lever selected on the details panel. With the pipette, select the bridge temple. Make sure you have selected the bridge temple, and that's it. So now if I press play and I go towards the bridge, I can go ahead and press the lever and it will go up and then I can cross. Now obviously it didn't look very good because it was too fast. So let's click on the bridge and open this up. And then what I'm going to do is click on the interrupt to movement. Select it again. And duration, I'm going to put like a good 3.8 seconds. Okay, let's try like that. So now we go here, press E, and it takes more time to go up. And you could put like a sound of, you know, a lever going up, and okay, I fell. So yeah, just make sure that I jump there. But yeah, if I go back to a lid, as you can see, it looks pretty good. Maybe I can put this spear on the right and then rotate it like this, so it will not go like through the ground, if that makes sense. And maybe this one I can put it more like this. Yeah, in general I think I just have to put them more like on the ground. Perfect. And that's it, we got everything working. So now you just need to add maybe the quest right over here. So on this little hallway over here, I'm gonna put it on lid so you see better. I'm gonna get the quest trigger and just drag this here. And then let me just place this over here. There we go. Perfect, this is the trigger. So now for the quest name, it will be like, you know, yeah, we can put Cambodia Temple. And then for the description, we can get steal the chest and escape. Okay, and then we can go here and maybe right here we can get the chest. And I don't know what's the, I think this is the forward direction. I'm gonna put this like here, rotate it like a bit, and then that's it. I'm gonna go here, and okay, that's not the correct direction. Okay, it was here. Wait. Oh, here, sorry. Okay, select the trigger and make sure that for the chest you have selected this chest over here. Perfect. So I mean, it should work. I should go over here. We cannot cross. Like, oh my god, what do we do? Oh, just enable the lever. It will go up. Super cool. And then we can kind of jump here. We got a trigger, which we need to disable this invisible thing. And now it says Cambodia Temple, steal the chest and escape. And then we go to the chest, open it, quest completed. And there we go. This is the base of the adventure game that we built over here. And I mean, it's looking pretty cool, I must say. So with the quest trigger selected, just do Ctrl E to open up. And then click on the trigger, search for hidden in-game, and enable this. And that's it. Now it will not appear when we press play, which is very important. And I left a very important detail to fix to the end, which is the arm of the torch. So to fix this, just go to Content, Blueprints, and the Sandbox Character. Find the layered blend per bone node that we added at the end, and then under the Mesh Space Rotation Blend, also enable Root Space Rotation Blend. And now you will see that we will actually go ahead and we go to the light, fix this. So now the torch is completely good. Perfect. So that's it, we fixed it. And also to fix the hair real quick, as you can see, kind of glows on the dark and it looks a bit weird. Let's just go ahead and open up the Blueprints, Adventure Character, then go ahead and select the Echo Hair and double click on Hair Cards on the material. And then you see this brightness over here, just put this to 0. And yes, it will kind of darken the hair, but it will also make it not glow, which is I think more important. Then obviously you can just increase the saturation and things of the colors. But that's it, we fixed it. And that's it, guys. You successfully created an adventure game that looks insane in Unreal Engine 5 in only a couple of hours. If you enjoyed this masterclass, make sure to like the video and subscribe to my channel, because I have over 800 other tutorials on learning Unreal Engine 5. And as I mentioned before, if you want to get access to more than 500 assets that I used to create my viral games, join my Unreal Club. Now yes, with all that said, bye bye.